So here we are, back at the my favourite bench, and I thought we'd do sort of like a roundup of the Hunter and just give you my thoughts on what I love about it, what I don't like about it, which isn't a lot, so I'd warn you of that. But let's do a quick review of what I think about the bike in general. So first and foremost, I suppose it's the looks. The bike is just a fantastic looking bike, isn't it? I love their matte colours on here. This is a bit more matte than normal because it's so filthy dirty, because it gets used every day pretty much. Handling is excellent. It's quite fast handling, but then that's what it was designed for. Royal Enfield had this for the India market. It was really, I suppose, to take the place of the Bullet, really, certainly for a younger audience anyway, although the Bullet in its new classic form is a superb bike and is really popular here in the UK. But it has a lot of followers, this bike in India, and it's pretty cheap over there. This has got to be less than £2,000 in India, maybe in about £1,800 I think. But what's nice about it is that you can spec it up a bit. You know, I mentioned before we got the sump guard, the little bikini screen on here. I've added the panniers to it. These pannier racks I ordered from India, and they're like the L shape at the bottom there. They were about £40 delivered from India, and I put the little fake leather panniers on the back. They were £17 on eBay, and they're still attached. You know, even if they last a couple of years, then that's not a bad thing, is it? I got the bar-in mirrors, which are really good. But the bike overall is a really good package. And if you're looking for a really simple to use everyday commuter that's amazingly economical, then I don't think you can go far wrong. The other thing I do notice about this bike, and I've had a few Enfields now over the years, is the brakes on here. I know the brakes are the Byberry on here, which is pretty common from a lot of those sort of medium budget bikes. But what I do notice with this bike is the lever. It's long and broad, which means you can get a good distribution of pressure from your hand on this. The front brake on this is an absolute anchor, and that's anchor, like I said there. It is really good. It's probably the best brake I've had on any bike that I've had. It just suits the weight and everything of this bike really well. I know they have ABS on these, but that front brake has got tons of feel, and it's really solid. So really good. Back brake's good as well. Gearbox is fine on this. Other likes, simple little things like the fuel cap. You know, when you got a fuel cap which actually pivots properly, that makes a huge difference. They're little things, but they just mean such a lot. And you got a little key flap there. It's a really comfy bike. I've never had any problems with the comfort of this bike. I've probably done something like rides around 120 miles. Never get any problems with it. The lights are pretty good. Don't tend to ride much at night, really, to be honest with you. But the other major thing with this bike is I just get on and ride it. I don't generally clean it. I should do. It's filthy dirty. It's due a good clean now, because we've had a bit of salt on the roads. But it sits out in all weathers, under a little tent admittedly, but it just sits out in all weathers. Freezing cold. I haven't ridden this for about 10 days, got in it, bomb, starts first time. And that's what I love about it. Switchgear is really good as well. Nice simple switchgear. This is the same that you get on the Classic, I think, and the Meteor. Same switchgear. And I also think from memory that my Scram has the same switchgear as this. But you know, when you add all things up, it really is a great little package. The one thing I would say to Enfield though about this bike, if you really want to make a great package, put the 650 engine in it. I can imagine this with the twin engine in it, with the twin cylinder engine, being a great rival to something like, I don't know, a Bonneville or a Street Twin. I just think this look, I mean, most of the designers in Enfield, I think, are ex-Triumph. So you know, with that in mind, if you drew some tracing paper around this, and with the Street Twin, it will look very, very similar. It'll be hard to tell the difference. But it's a great looking bike, and one I think you'll really enjoy riding. So, summing up, yeah, brilliant, love it. Not something I'm planning to get rid of anytime soon. I've done a couple of thousand miles on this bike now, and it's been a real pleasure. Every mile's been a pleasure on this. And the funny thing is, when I put the panniers on this, it feels like a slightly different bike. It feels bigger with those panniers, even though I can't see them when I'm riding, which is a strange thing, isn't it? But yeah, great all-round bike. There's the key thing about this bike, and what always comes up in conversation, and it's the same with any of the Enfield bikes with this engine, the J series engine. You know, is it powerful enough? It's a bit too underpowered, but I suppose that's relative, isn't it? Underpowered compared to what? Underpowered compared to a Bonneville? Yes, it's lower powered. It's got more power than a scooter, so it depends what you're comparing it against. If you take the bike and it's look at it in isolation and think, well, is it powerful enough to do what it was built for, which was whizzing in and out of Indian traffic? Then yeah, because the Hunter is, I believe it's the engine management is slightly different on this compared to, say, the Classic. And it's designed to be a little bit more peppy, which it is. But what you find, and I find with most of the Enfields that I've ridden, and I have, is that the gearing's quite long, so you don't have to keep changing. You don't get into top gear quickly, and also fourth and fifth gears are quite close together. Although I would say that once you're in fifth and you're doing about 60, it will just sit there. But when you do get to a hill, you do need to change down to fourth and then get back up to speed and back into fifth again. So fifth acts a little bit like an overdrive in that respect. Are there times when I'd like more power out of this bike? Yeah, well, there's any bike we'd like more power out of, isn't there, really? But I wouldn't say I ever get frustrated with the power level of this bike. What's always interesting with Enfields is that they tend to manage to match the torque and the horsepower, which when you compare to, say, the Triumph 400, which I had the other week, you know, the torque figures are much lower than their horsepower figures, and that's a gearing issue, or they gear it specifically for that, where all your power is put in at the bottom end, or pull off, if you like. This bike, its power's pretty linear. It's right the way through the rev range. So in terms of, yes, I'd like more power. As I said earlier, I'd love to see a 650 engine in this. I think if you made this slightly bigger but kept the styling, I think this would sell like hotcakes, particularly when you think of how much Enfield bikes are. The other thing I was always critical of this bike, being an owner for this length of time, was the sound. When you're actually on the bike, to me it sounds a bit like a 125 that some young lad's taking the baffles out, and it always feels like that. But when I was doing this video and I was doing the ride past sections, which you'll see like towards the end of the video, it sounds good. It sounds really good. And I did actually go into a bike cafe with this bike on this when I was doing the recording, and a couple of people said, God, that sounds good. So what I can hear in my ears is not what other people can hear, so that's quite encouraging. in the next section coming up, actually, I'll do some ride past, and you'll see how good this bike sounds. It's really cool. Listen to this. It's pretty cool, I think. So those were my thoughts and feelings about the Hunter 350. I hope you can tell that I actually really do enjoy riding this bike, and it's a nice bike to own. We got some more interesting bikes coming up. Bonneville and NC750X for people interested in those, and we will have some BSA Gold Stars as well to do. So I'll see you in the next one. Ride safe and remember to subscribe. Take care.